Um, why don't you start with from when you met Granny to when y'all got married? Kind of run through
Okay.
that.
Well, the our families had known each other for a long time. In fact, Martha was born in Sabinal, and her father was the president of one bank, and my father was the president of her other bank. It's the 1929 area. Everybody was going bankrupt, and the bank that Martha's father in folded, and they moved to Uvalde, and that's about the time that we had moved to Sabinal and had this Ford agency, and as a result, all of our families knew each other real well. I never did know Martha, but I had an Aunt Annie Merle and Aunt Ruth on the other side, on the Bantam side, decided we would be a good match, and so they introduced us to one another. And I dated Martha and took her to Mexico, and
Annie Merle.
yeah, that's Aunt Annie Merle. And let's see, and I brought her to San Antonio to that famous Japanese opera. I forgot what.
Madam Butterfly?
Yeah, Madam Butterfly. And we started going together, and I had gone to work for Exxon, and I started out roughnecking on a rig, and I was driving back and forth as much as I could, and finally we got married in Uvalde, and we moved. The first place we moved to was Pleasanton, and we were there for a while, and then we had a little garage apartment that we were renting, and Roy Bays, my whole career was one of my mentors that pushed me along, but he was roughnecking on Rig 24 when I replaced him, and everywhere he went, he requested me, and when he went to the Flower Bluff district and they got in trouble with the Railroad Commission, and he requested me to come help him straighten it out, and I did. And then later on in Midland, he was assistant engineer in that division, and there were two assistants, one in reservoir and one in production. And they asked Roy McCarty, who was division manager, asked who Roy thought I ought to get, and he said, ought to get me. So he brought me to Midland. And then Roy finally became vice president of the production exploration department in New York, which is just one step below the board of directors. And he requested me, and so I went to New York. And then an interesting thing about Roy, though, he bought a house in Connecticut, and we bought a condominium in Connecticut, and he really liked our condominium. And he called me in one day and offered me this good position in North Africa and Libya. And he said, and if you accept it, can I buy your condominium? And I told Roy, I said, I feel like you're right, going to the front. And then when I got over in Libya and things were folding up there, and he requested that I come back to Houston and become the drilling operations manager. So I followed Roy wherever he went, and we're still good friends. And we still talk on the phone a lot.
So if Martha loved music, what kind of music did she like?
Well, she played the piano and she played the violin, and she was actually, when I got engaged to her, she was directing a choir. She was a choir director in First Baptist Church in Uvalde. I don't know whether your father ever told you that the preacher there were really getting in trouble with the congregation, and I was a deacon, and they asked me to be chairman of the board of deacons, and that church was in such a mess that I don't want that job. And the third time they came to me and said,
But you dealt with Exxon. Come on.
the third time they came to me and asked me to be the chairman, I decided I'd take it, but I said, "You're gonna regret it." And so I told the preacher what I was gonna do. I was gonna ask the preacher and all the staff to leave, and when the first deacons meeting, and I told them that there are deacons in this very room that are vicious gossips telling lies, and that they stopped hating the preacher and started hating me. But and that says a result. I'm a real good friend of Jerry, because he knew in advance what I was going to do everything, and I went and talked to people about what he was doing wrong, and most of the people support him. It was just a few vicious people that were after him.
Yeah.
That's the way it always is.
Mm-hmm.
But,
So when you're in Libya, there's no church though or anything to go to there, was there?
yeah, we had a little. They had a Southern Baptist church there that was supported by I think it's from Oklahoma, and they had a preacher there that was a good preacher, but they didn't have any Libyans in that thing. That from Bolton to in fact we had a couple of Mormons that came in and started passing out literature on the streets, and they got arrested and thrown in prison. And they didn't feed them, and we had to feed the preacher there was feeding them. Finally got them out.
Yeah.
But, I hear some people criticize the Mormons, but in the Bible, there are some very clear verses that say if they're doing something in Jesus' name, they're not against us, they're for us.
Mm-hmm.
Your sister looks like a movie star.
Yeah, she was.
I mean, she really does.
She was very beautiful.
Does she look like all the boys would be chasing after her?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she got who's who to marry her.
And were they married for a long time?
Yeah, well, I guess 40 years till she died, and then he died about a year and a half later.
So you were married in 46?
47.
47. Okay. Did you want 2 children, or that's just the way it happened?
No, we were actually had Martha had a miscarriage, or we'd had 3.
Oh. Before or after?
This was after we had Jim and Kay.
Oh, I see.
But I always remember when I was such a disciplinarian children. I know Kay acted up in church one time when she was about 6, and I marched her out to church down the aisle, spanked her and brought her back in. She didn't say anything in church for about 5 years. And Jimmy, when everybody would yell out in the area, and when we were in Corpus, to their sons to come on, they'd say, what? And I'd call Jim, he'd say, what, sir?
I think you were telling a story one time about driving the station wagon, and they caught the back on fire or something. I think Dad had his magnifying glass.
Oh yeah.
And you said you just got out of the car and said, I don't try to understand the kid. I just beat him when he's back.
Yeah.
Tell that whole. Why don't you tell that whole story?
Well, he had this magnifying glass. I didn't know what he was doing, and he had some newspapers there. And he set them on fire, but his beekeeping was it was really something. When we were living in Houston, he ordered these bees from Sears and Roebuck or somewhere, and that postman couldn't believe it when he delivered them. And Jim used to, when somebody have a bee swarm, he passed where they had to go get it on a bicycle, because they won't sting you when they're swarming.
Oh.
And we had a space about that far between the fence and the house, and I didn't know he was doing it. He had all these beehives back there, and my neighbor said, we can't even use our bird bath anymore. The bees are swarming. So and finally we moved those bees to Montel.
You moved the bees? So this says Jimmy here. So y'all did used to call Jim Jimmy.
Yeah.
Because that's K. And so,
Yeah.
Okay. So then he became Jim when he was a grown man?
Yeah.
But you were always J.E.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And your mom
Well,
called you
they actually called me son, and
Oh.
my mother called me son, and so everybody called, and even my nieces would call me Uncle Son.
Uncle Son.
But everybody in the family is named James. If we didn't have somebody by initials, it makes it easier.
So when we have a boy, should we name him James? Should we just keep it going on for 10 more generations?
No, you don't have to do that.
Did you go on a honeymoon?
No, we didn't have a honeymoon. We had a weekend.
Oh,
And I went
Okay.
back to
that's
work.
all we have. We saved our money for a house. Okay. Well, any stories about Dale?